Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope, to this special early morning edition of the program here. I've got Carlos, Mad New Yorker Chavez backstage. We're going to talk about some of these NBA trades, catch up on that, get his take on these NFL gambling policies and more. We will be back in about 49 seconds, and we'll hit the ground running on this special early morning edition of Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. All righty then, folks. I'm back here live. And Carlos, good morning.
Yo, good morning,
man.
Let the fireworks begin, son. Happy 4th of July.
Happy
Everybody.
4th of July, my friend. Yeah, I was sitting here drinking coffee, snacking on the apple, taking the vitamins, trying to get going here. It's going to be a really hot one down here in Nashville. Now,
it's hot in New York too, son. It's hot in New York.
A lot of catching up to do, man. Let me ask you this. Haven't talked to you in a while. A lot of news has went through the cycle. Bradley Beal basically given to the Phoenix Suns in that trade there in the three-way deal. Or excuse me, no, actually just for Chris Paul and practically nothing. Right. What are your thoughts on that particular trade, man?
The Suns keep mucking it up. I mean, you know, Bill's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but can he stay on the court? Like these guys they're getting have like a 60-game minimum, right? Like you're at least going to get 60 games out of them. After that, you know, you start high hoping that they stay on the roster and they keep healthy because this is a long season, man. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And some of these guys, even though they start off slow, they end up, you know, even slower. Like I just say right about after the All-Star game, right? You start seeing these, you know, injuries pop up, things, or even the start of the All-Stars. I mean, the start of the championship games, the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like the teams that are younger nowadays are the teams that are going to be more competitive and stay afloat. Some of these guys who we consider all-stars now, they're not like the all-stars back in our heyday, right? And it's a different game. The league's different, the rules are different. So, and they don't benefit these guys who are older, like who are in the prime, who are just kind of getting off of the prime in their mid-30s, you're going to 40, right? It's not the same anymore. So we're gonna see what happens, you know. It's gonna be interesting for sure.
Do you think they'll keep DeAndre Ayton? I mean, there's been talks about
I mean, I don't think Ayton wants to stay there. They're just trying to find somewhere to dump him, and I don't think there's any takers because of his attitude, right? That was one of the things, and he got one of the best coach of the year fired, right? So you know he got him fired. So not necessarily himself, but you know those situations can't happen when you're on a championship run. So would you take Ayton on your team?
Yeah, with Frank Vogel there, man, I would actually keep Ayton. I looked at the way he dealt with Roy Hibbert, where he coached Anthony Davis, and he's a really good rim protector. I really do believe that. I don't think that's just a cliche with him.
it's not that he doesn't have the potential and skills to be an all-star all the time. It's the fact that he's not an all-star all the time. Like, and you can't pay for something you're not getting. That's
you really need an all-star all the time with him?
Oh,
and you've got all those other stars there.
Yeah, but the problem is all those stars, again, they're past the prime. You know, he'd be the youngest one on the roster there, right? He'd be what, 27? Everybody else is
Booker's young, and you know, the truth of the matter is, Bill, we don't know for a fact, that I've mentioned this a few weeks back, that maybe they were just shutting Bill down to save his value each season. He's only like 29. He's not 36. He's not Chris Paul's age.
Yeah, but he hasn't played. He doesn't play more than 70 games a season. The last 3 seasons.
70 and 90. But that's still, you know, you're talking 160 games. That's still a big chunk of games missed, and it's a gamble because he does have a big contract, and maybe that was the reason why they just gave him, basically gave this guy to the Suns. I think
why should you make those deals? They did the same thing with what's his name, who carried the gun in the locker room. They just gave a huge deal, and then they can't.
He'll come to me here in a a little bit. I can't remember the guy's name.
I mean, he wasn't. He wasn't a bad
number
player
0
either,
as his was his jersey number.
What was his jersey number?
His jersey number was 0.
Agent 0. That was his stuff.
And he got a big contract from them, and he was a very low drafted. He might have been a second round or something like that. But you know, I just think that
I mean, he wasn't a bad player. It was just that contract was too heavy. You know what I'm saying?
Contract was heavy. He had some maturity issues. Carrying a gun in a locker room, I mean, accident can happen. 2 or 3 people, especially if it's loaded. You know. Actually, I think that Phoenix, that's a good deal for. And I'm not saying they're better than Denver by no means. And I know that Durant's going to be 35 coming into the season. Booker's still young. Ayton's like 24. He's very young.
But Booker's going to carry that team for sure because
I think Booker's going to run the point, and he should. And they might go after Harden and get Harden, but I hope they don't.
I hope they give Booker some rest, man. Sometimes, you know, they give him too much on his shoulders. But I mean, he could do it. The only problem is like in the playoffs, you know, you need firepower, and he can't be the only bullet in the gun, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And a guy like Ayton could just push him the ball back. You know, I mean, if he's complaining about getting the ball.
He hasn't done it in the last 2 playoff runs.
Well, Monty Williams is a nice guy. I like him personally, but he didn't make a lot of adjustments there, and they really got blown out the last 2 closeout games there. I know that where they came from and all that, and I understand that, but Vogel's been deep in the playoffs. He's won a championship. He was wrongfully fired from the Lakers. He was fired for the Lakers because they took in Westbrook.
We'll talk about him.
As soon as they got rid of Westbrook, everything looked great.
We'll talk about him in a second. Gilbert Arenas was his name.
Gilbert Arenas. And he had his time. He was doing well at one time.
I mean, even when he went to Orlando, he didn't do too bad. So I mean, look, the thing that I dislike when we talk about these conversations is other people's money. I don't like talking about that. But the problem is, as a fan and as a team, you're like, you know, you're paying this guy, you know, you expect sometimes more than what you get. It's very little that you're not expected, that you're okay with your player that's on the team. And I'll give you a great example. With Adebayo, he signed an extension, and Miami's been getting their money's worth out of him. So you know, fans, you know, you might have to jump ship from Butler and get on that Adebayo jersey because he's making your team, you know, he's giving it what it's worth. You know, now I'm not saying Butler's not worth doing what he's worth, but you know, he came short when the team needed him to, you know, step up, and it's not necessarily his fault. You know, it's also the way that the coaching style spread out the work for the Heat to try to win. You know, so. You know, that's
they got
what happens.
2 finals in 4 years. I mean, I think he did everything he could. You know, he's probably playing through injury.
Yeah, that was the thing too. People were talking about, you know, he hurt himself in one of those games, and he could be playing with the injury and stuff like that. But, you know, again, it is what it is. If you show up and play, you show up and play, and if you don't, you don't. And, you know, he was there. He just didn't. He was just showing up. He didn't. You know, wasn't part
So
of
what's
the
your
team.
thoughts about Marcus Smart being traded to Memphis essentially for Porzingis in that 3-team trade? What's your thoughts on the Boston side of that?
Boston
bringing in that big.
Porzingis is, you could just, if I was Boston, I'd just be like, at least I got somebody on the bench. Porzingis would be my 7 or 8. I wouldn't start him. He hadn't played 60 games plus in all his career. He's
all of that's went up though the last few years for Porzingis. His stats, his numbers, his minutes.
Because he's a good player. So unlike Randall, he's gonna get his for the minutes that he plays.
Yeah,
but he's not on the court enough, man. The value is when you're on the court for the season, right? That's where the value's at. So
you're saying that gamble wasn't worth giving up Smart?
Well, I feel like Smart was on the way out the door, just like Brown in Milwaukee. They're like they want to stay, but if the money wasn't right, they were gonna go. So, they did right by leaving. Huh?
Who in Milwaukee?
Brown from Denver. I'm sorry, Brown from Denver.
Okay, yeah, Bruce Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like their food was halfway out the door anyways. They wanted more money, and they probably wasn't going to get that much more that they wanted. So, they take advantage of the situation. So he took advantage of the situation. Smart did, and Boston got an okay player in Porzingis. I mean, listen, we thought he was a white unicorn here in New York. So
7'3".
What?
Yeah.
Remember that?
7'3". Yeah.
Yeah, and he ended up being white out, so just not non-existent. So, Boston they're gonna have their issues. Porzingis it's not hurting them, but it's not gonna tip them over and get them a playoff run. I don't think. They still need that. They still need to get rid of the contract with what's his name? I forgot his name.
The other big?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They need to get rid of that. You need to get rid of that.
Well, yeah. Now, Horford. You're talking about Horford?
No, not Horford. I think they're gonna just drop Horford because they have Porzingis.
Yeah. Well, Horford's like 37. You know. See, that's the problem. They took way too many jump shots. You know, they took too many threes. They needed a post game. You saw what wins. Colin Cowherd saying that the league is pivoting back to big men who can score. It's getting back into the mid-range game. They kept on taking threes even when they were missing them last year, and that was frustrating for me. And I don't have a dog in the hunt with Boston.
I feel like that's the MO for all the teams right now. Just take them.
You need a post play still.
But Jaylen Brown, right? That's his name, Jaylen Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Like they need to move him, because that's hurting their money situation, and then they'll be okay. They have still a good young core. Tatum, I think him and Brown are the same player, just different perspective, you know.
Yeah.
But skill wise, potential wise, I think they both have about the same. And Tatum's just a quiet guy, and Brown is like he's semi-quiet, but will get an attitude if things are going his way. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in Boston. But they're not hurting.
No.
Losing a player like Smart, I don't think it's not like the situation in Houston that they need players. You know what I'm saying? So
right. Do you think Derek White will be their starter at Boston? He's listed as a starter right now at point guard. I think they're still going to try to shop for a point guard.
But who would you get at this point?
Well, there's rumors that they would be interested in a Damian Lillard. That's a long shot, but
it's not. They could get Lillard, but I wouldn't get him because he's again. You want to stay young. You want to stay. You want the energy to come from the point guard, which is why Tatum will take the ball because he will get the energy and he'll bring energy. That's why Brown was not complimenting him in the playoffs because he wasn't bringing energy. He was just waiting for the ball. And when he did bring energy, you saw that the game was different. When he scored those 30 plus points in those, every 4 or 5 games, you saw the energy that Boston could have if they would just attack the basket and play with, and move the ball around. But you don't want to go backwards where a guy like Lillard, like I'm not saying that he can't play, but you want him for the whole season. Again, you don't want another CP3 situation or Kevin Durant where like, okay, you're in the middle of the season and then all of a sudden your knee hurts or your back hurts and then you're not in the playoffs and then you might be coming back in the playoffs and then when you come in the playoffs, you came out on the 6th game when we needed you in the 1st and 2nd game. You know what I'm saying? So,
that's true, man. I just think that I'm not sure if Broderick is going to be 100%. They had that other trade in place. Broderick couldn't pass a physical.
Right.
They was going to get Porzingis for much cheaper. Broderick was supposed to go to the Clippers and just 3-way trade a few weeks back. So I was thinking maybe a Fred VanVleet would have been a great pick. Great.
But then again, you're going up and you start as 29, 14, dude. Now you're going back up in age. And again, guys, I'm not trying to be an ageist, but I'm just trying to be a realist. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're below 30,
he's 29.
And you're on a championship run, you're more likely to be in the championship run. If you're above 30 and you're in a championship run, you're more likely to be in the ER, every few days. And that's not. I'm not trying to say that, in the meanest way possible. I'm just saying age in basketball and in a lot of sports is a major factor, and how you take care of your body. So and it's a long season. It's not like Robbie, you still going to the club and hanging out till 3 a.m?
No, I was in 2019, but that was taking the life out of me.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's only been what 3 years away, 4 years ago that you've done that. So
yeah, I would have to. When we did go out, friend of mine, Michael, friend from church. Long story. But to shorten that long story up, I would have to take naps late in the afternoon so I would have the energy to go past 10 o'clock because that's my normal bedtime. Back in the day, we could just go ride it out all the way. You wouldn't have to take any naps. You could do the 2 a day.
Right.
Then take a shower and just go out and hang out till 2 o'clock in the morning.
And mind you, when Kobe was doing what he was doing, as far as like making his body ready for the league and all that, almost worked so hard that he put himself in a bad situation because he ended up getting injured. Right? He worked hard. He worked his body so hard to try to stay in shape and be in the game that it actually helped. It made him more likely to get injured. So your body is a temple and you got to treat it like one, but you're trying to bounce that basketball is one thing, but you're playing basketball in the NBA after the age of 30, 33, it's not easy, man. It's not,
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. Okay.
I mean, we're not balling, right? We used to ball together all the time. We
balled, yeah.
Man, we used to ball for 3-4 hours straight, remember? The Red Bar.
Yeah, we balled out at, I think did you hang out with me at the gym on campus?
Yeah, man.
I thought that was you and Alex. I don't know if you remember Alex. To shoot with him.
Yeah, we used to shoot the ball.
I could still beat him in 1-on-1 back in the day, and that made me feel good. Alex was a pretty good
baller.
Yeah, he could ball out a little bit. Now, do you have any thoughts on Zion Williamson? Do you think he'll ever get traded during this? Between now and I'll put it this way, between now and the trade deadline coming up in March.
What do you think Louisiana about? What do you think they value him? How do you think they value him? It's a question we should ask, right? Yeah. Like, was he worth the first round pick? And is he still going to bring in ticket sales? Is he going to be on the court? How long he's going to be on the court? Those are questions that, they shouldn't be asking. This is a young guy Like then this is the flip the script from what we've been talking about with the older guys, right?
Yeah, he's extremely young.
Yeah, so
he's still trying to mature and grow into everything.
Yeah,
emotionally and physically.
Yeah, and so I think his eyes just got too big for his head. Like he went in, everybody wanting him. He was Charles Barkley like slamming, dunking on people, and he's been more like the other way around, so he needs to stay healthy, man. First and foremost, he needs to stay healthy. Can he make that commitment and tell the team that he's gonna, how about we see him play 2 more seasons? And if they're not willing to give him 2 more seasons, then just move him now. Just trade him, But we gotta see.
I think so too, man. I think he got embarrassed with his off court stuff with the porn star and the stripper. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. The little love triangle, this chick was threatening to put the sex tape out and all that. And I noticed like a few days later, he's on giving to some kids cancel or something. He's giving some charity with the, so he's trying to revamp his image already.
Before,
and then it came out he wanted to change the scenery. I just don't think, like you said, I don't think the value's there right now for the opposition. They would just be paying for his contract for a very young player. Well, but it's still interesting, to see how all that plays out, man.
If I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, I may want to look into someone like Zion, or even a team that's on the up like Orlando,
Oh wow, you don't want to send him to the Knicks?
No, New York would be a terrible place for Zion. Not because of him as a player and him being like, having that opportunity and potential, but New York is a terrible place for young people, man. It's especially if you're not ready, if you're not headstrong, and you don't want to put your head, to the grindstone and sharpen yourself as a person and professionally. New York is not the place for you. Too much out there to have fun with, man. So.
Yeah, he needs a
he needs somewhere low key.
A mentor.
Yeah,
and he needs a guy to help guide it. Hey, speaking of the Knicks, I brought this up on the other program.
Why you want to give me heartburn early in the morning?
Hey, man, this is from a website called Clutch Points. I know they have a good.
Oh yeah, I know Clutch. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay, just hear me out. This is what they're saying. This is not what I'm
Clutch.
Clutch Sports. Okay. It says the Knicks are cooking up something. It says the Knicks control 11 first-round draft picks over the next 7 years. I think they traded Toppin to somebody over the last few days. They also have a bevy of promising young talent and an all-NBA player who can match salary, the perfect ingredients for a blockbuster trade. And it mentions guys like Dame is finally craving a championship. It says the Giannis situation isn't as sweet as another playoff run. It mentions Zion, but then it shows a picture of Jalen Brunson and Joel Embiid. Do you think the Knicks are up to something?
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks are always up to something, and the Knicks always muck it up. And I say that in the nicest way as a Knicks fan. They had talks of even Lillard, like maybe coming here, and even last season, talking about bringing some other guys here. And I'm like, why? These guys are on the tail end of their careers. Like, we already got Rose on the bench, and he ain't doing anything. And now you see they got rid of him
down here in Memphis.
Yeah, now they got rid of him. Yeah, so look, the Knicks will always have potential to do something big, and it doesn't matter what they do. What matters is when the players get here and do what they're supposed to do. I'm kind of okay with the DiVincenzo pickup.
Okay.
And because him, Hart, and Brunson play together, I hope that they don't try to sell this to the coach, who's currently not coaching Villanova, Jay Wright. Because I like Jay Wright, but he's a college basketball coach. I like Tibbs.
So you're reading those rumors too that they do away with
reading them. People are screaming. This means Jay Wright's coming. No,
Thibodeau and Jay Wright, the former Villanova coach, folks.
Yeah. So I'm at the point where from the get-go I said Tibbs was not a fit here in New York, and they're still trying to work that out with Brunson and Randall leading the way. And look, again, the Knicks will always have the opportunity to do big things. And I say to you as a basketball player who will enter the NBA, who's already in the NBA, do you want to be in New York and make the Garden what it is? You can always play in the Garden as another player, which seems like we've been hosting tons of players the last, 25, 30 years and watching basketball like that. But, I want somebody to come and pick up the mantle and be like, listen, this is my house. This is the Garden. And we're going to rise up and we're going to beat you every single night. Not like every 3 or 4 nights when Melo was here, or like, and have, no, like every single night. Like,
I thought Brunson was that guy there in the playoffs.
Man.
Because he's a guard. You want a bigger player?
And another thing right now, and what the Knicks have done is they're guard heavy, which is kind of smart. But some of the guards that they have aren't true points, so they're more 2 and 3s than they are 1s. So I think they've wanted to make they wanted that one, which is why they ended up going outside and getting Brunson. But if they could get one of these guys to become a true number 1 and a solid trade piece or a winning player, then they'll be where they want to be to try to garner more value to get that number, to get that third piece. But listen, I'm in the school of get 4 or 5 pieces, man. You don't need that third star. You don't, Brunson's a true point guard, right? And if you do, you have to pit him with people that he can play with and play past. Because if you want him to carry the team, then let him carry the team. But if you're gonna put a 3rd or 4th star there, that's gonna like butt heads, like a Randall, who's he's not a 5, he's barely a 4, right? But he's just taking threes like crazy, unnecessary.
Yeah, he has not had good postseason runs the last 2 years. Now Brunson, I do like him running the point. I think he is an excellent passer. He gets in the lane. He plays like a young Jason Kidd, in my opinion.
I didn't want to mention.
You want to dip Jason Kidd and put John Stockton together. You got a Jalen Brunson there.
Yeah, I think he's more like a Nash and a Kidd put together than. But I didn't want to go that route yet. I mean, he's gonna get his. He's a gym rat, right? Everybody says that he trains hard.
Dad works for the team. He was one of your best acquisitions in 20 years, probably.
Yeah, I like him better than the Carmelo trade.
Me too, man. He brings it every night. Carmelo, you don't know.
You know what you was gonna get.
He's sleepwalking out there sometimes.
And then there was stories about him hanging out with his dealer, playing video games and all that. We didn't need all that junk.
Well, I think what I just read with the clutch points, I'm like you. I'm actually proud that they haven't made a move, air quote, just to make a move that doesn't find the right. Remember, I'm telling you, not to sound like a broken record here, but that Donovan Mitchell, or the lack thereof, that paid off huge.
Yes.
You saw how ball-centric he was in that first round. I didn't think y'all was going to win in 5 games. I thought they had a better talented team on paper than the Knicks, and you guys went through him like a hot knife through butter because he takes too many bad shots, man.
I feel because Brunson,
he went to jail with Brunson.
Yeah, I feel like because Brunson and Hart played together, that chemistry was there. Yeah. That mended that little hole that the Knicks. Remember, Josh Hart came in and they won like 3 or 5 games straight.
Right.
So
and by the way, he opted in for $12 million. That was a giveaway.
Yeah,
for a backup small forward like that.
Well, here's the thing though, and Hart knows that if he goes anywhere else, he's gonna have to, he might be trade bait because he has to put out, right? Because he's gonna ask for a bigger contract. But being in New York, he don't have to, he could play off Brunson because he knows him. So it's an easier, complimentary situation, right? Mm-hmm. So with DiVincenzo in the mix, I'm not going to say that they're going to like buddy up and just take over the team because I don't think that's going to happen. I just feel like they might lose their coach next season. Because
If
Tibbs
he don't get past another round.
they'll probably be in the first round and that's it. I mean, but look, I'm gonna tell you this, and I've been saying this since the beginning.
Yeah,
they have all those guys. They need to just play them. If you're young, and Tibbs had just started doing that last season, right?
mm-hmm.
Which was aggravating to me because I'm like, you already had these guys in the roster, like just use them. Like, why are you playing guys 20, 30 minutes when you got young guys that can play 15, 20 minutes as well, right? And that way you don't have to, like Emmanuel Quigley, if he would have just played him less minutes, Quigley would probably less likely to get injured.
He's technically your backup point guard according to this depth chart I'm reading off ESPN.
Yeah, he's a 6 for sure. He's a 6 man for sure. Yeah, and that's not a bad position for him. He brings the energy, right? But people see that that's a trading tool for the Knicks because a lot of people want that energy on their team, right? So
BLSG morning.
I mean, I'm positive that the Knicks can do the right thing, but I know that they're probably going to muck it up.
Because they haven't showed that in the last 3 years. I mean, we'll see. I mean,
they got rid of the GM and they got rid of the wrong guy.
They did get rid of the GM. I wasn't a fan of that.
Yeah, they got rid of the wrong guy. So they're getting rid of things and they're moving and doing things. But I'm okay with the Rose not signing Rose and him moving on to Memphis. I was okay with that.
Fourier and Rose were on the bench for a long time.
Yeah, so slowly they'll piece it together, but I won't be like any of the NFL players that put this stuff on the books, man. Don't be betting on that. So,
do you think they're going to go after Karl Anthony Towns, or do you think that ship may have sailed?
I think they need to just hold off on the whole trying to make a big three and just try to draft better. Try to draft and try to trade.
I don't even remember who they drafted the other day. It was so quiet.
Yeah, it's like I mean, but the whole theme for the NBA draft felt like the European mix. I felt like we was in the techno days, and then we were just hearing a bunch of Europeans, man.
Yeah. Miles Bridges is still out there. I mean,
no, he's not. He's off the table now.
Oh, is he?
The Hornets have agreed to match his offer.
Oh, he signs his qualifying offer 19. Okay. Yep. Stand corrected, my friend.
That's all right. It happened a few hours ago, man. You cool? I'm not. I was saying the same thing. I brought it up to some people that I wouldn't mind shipping Randall off and bringing Miles Bridges in. Now, Miles Bridges got that issue with domestic violence and stuff, but
that's what I forgot. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that came into the news, slid under the radar.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts with on the Memphis side? Marcus Smart, I think that's huge for Memphis.
Memphis,
he's suspended for 25 games, Ja Morant.
Yeah, and look, Memphis is doing things. I like that what they're doing because they're using players that have a lot of potential and they're still not overpaying for that, right? It's not that they can't afford it, but they have to be careful. And they have to still surround Ja Morant with players that can run, right?
Yeah.
So I like the moves that they're making. They got rid of Brooks, right? He's gone. He just signed with somebody else. So
yeah, Brooks is with Houston.
Yep.
I'm not going to blame Brooks for that. He didn't really get a lot of money in his second contract. He really cashed out with Houston. Fred Van Vliet, him and Van Vliet, plus they got Ime down there. They're going to be presentable. They'll be air quote watchable during the season here. Wesley, what sort of budget do they carry in order to attract a better roster? I think you have to specify. I think Wesley's talking about the Knicks. The Knicks are in good standing right now, according to this.
I don't think, and to be honest with you, any New York team is worried about their standing so much budget wise. It's the ownership and the GMs trying to work deals to get more for less, and depending on the players that are coming in or they want to come in is what where the situation stands, right? Like if I'm an owner and you're talking about 20 plus for a player, he better be like between 25 and 27, younger than 30. But
Okay.
you're asking me to put that kind of money in a player like Lillard or
Yeah.
Somebody over 30. That's a hard sell, man. And and New York isn't in a position to just be getting players like that to sell jerseys anymore. And because the core of players they have are young, they need to keep it under 27 just to be competitive in this actual division, right? Because the division, the guys who are competitive are almost young as well. Even look at Miami and their crew of undrafted free agents, right? They weren't going over the age of 27, and the oldest person on that team was Butler.
Yeah, now Butler's post 30 now.
Yeah, and I'm talking about the average age was 27, but Butler was the oldest. I believe Butler was one of the oldest players. So you see how that helped them, right? It didn't help him at all.
That is true. He watched his minutes during a regular, and I think it's nuts for what Dallas did. I mean, what's Kyrie 32 now?
And they re-upped it. His
and he's got a 3-year, pretty heavy contract too.
I wouldn't have. And the Nets are talking, and the Knicks are talking about maybe even bringing Kyrie in. And there's places that he said he had the Suns and people. I think he was just saying that he had all these meetings. And then
that's what I'm thinking.
Or maybe he had those meetings, but he was playing NBA 2K. I don't know, but
he is a trip, man.
But he's not.
You can't trust him as far as you can throw him. It seems like Mark Cuban's getting a little desperate because he's afraid that Luka's going to ask for a trade at some point.
Right. And to Corey's point, listen,
I think that's a home run. I'm 110% with Corey. He's already heard my take on that.
Marcus Smart has to be smart, and if John Morant doesn't come to him, he don't need to be running to John Morant. How about that?
Smart's like 28.
No, but what I'm saying is that you can't just throw two birds together and think they're gonna just be like buddy up. That's not how that works. And John Morant has issues. Again, listen, I have nothing against John Morant, his family.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be mean to anybody. I don't want to demean the situation. There's a mental health, emotional health situation going on with John Morant, and I think it's very clear and relevant. And if he doesn't take care of that for himself and separate himself from those who are
bringing him down,
bringing him down and not helping him, then he's not going to get better. But he has to do it for himself, and other people could come in and try to help him. But if he doesn't do it for himself, then it's something that's you don't want it to be a lost cause. You don't want it to be like, we brought Marcus Smart in to help you. No, you want it to be like, yo, there's people here that are on your side. You go to see if they're willing to help you, right? Don't bring people in and be like, yeah, I'm gonna fix that guy. Look, when people say this guy's a fixer,
I think John Morant seems to be very receptive. He doesn't come off as I know all. It's all about now. He might be that way and not present it in his interviews, but reading his body language, listen to his comments. He, like you said earlier, I think he just seems a little overwhelmed by a situation. And sometimes people go out and, do things like that to relieve the stress.
Yeah.
He's got to find other ways to get away rather than what he's doing,
But Robert, he already has his edge and he has his mentality from not going to a power school, not power 10 school or anything.
Yeah. Murray State, very small school.
He went to Murray State, right? And we both know that that's not a bad basketball school, but we both also know that the competition level is totally different.
Yeah.
Right. So
we went to school in their conference, OVC.
He doesn't want to be known as that he's a mediocre level player. Like, he wants to be known as a high-end, high-level player, and he plays like that, right? So, but the thing is that he has something that drives him for basketball. He's not having problem on the basketball court. He has problem getting to and getting off the basketball court. That's where his problems lie.
Yeah.
And his family, unfortunately, there's no stability there. And if that's where he's going to rest his head at night and hang out with in the evenings, and that's his like go-to, then that's part of his problem, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm not saying he's got to like ditch his family, because his family's family, but I would not be around them as much if they're the ones who are not helping you. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, well, Aaron Rodgers, he had a fallout with his family. Sometimes Kobe Bryant did.
But his fallout with his family, and the issue with, and half of the issue was because his brother kept, trying to get on his pigtail, trying to get on his coattails. You know that.
Yes.
He played for Vanderbilt, trying to get like.
Sure did. And Kobe Bryant's dad was trying to sell his jersey. They're trying to sponge off of you. Yeah. And so, then, it's defensive, and it would have got me irritated too. And those guys' defense, actually.
Right. And and as a family person, as a man, like, you can't just be like, not everybody's family is the same. So we can't just be like, oh,
right.
You don't like your family, but you like your family. We can't do that. That's not, we can't be judgmental like that, because we don't know everybody's situation. And we know, because of Middle Tennessee, what happened with Aaron Rodgers' brother.
Yeah.
And having, them trying to use his name to force him into being a better player and he's not, right? That's a problem.
Right.
Rodgers' brother was not as good as
the talent of Rodgers. And Ja Morant's mom she's asking him to come settle some dispute out of the mall. Like, she's part of the problem doing crazy stuff like that, with the security guy at a finish line. Get out of here.
And look, again, those are personal issues that they're not happening on a basketball court. Had John Morant pulled a gun on his coach or tried to strangle his coach like Sprewell, then we would have a different conversation, right?
Yeah, Sprewell, he actually, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was in Golden State.
Yeah, Don Nelson, he jumped at his coach and strangled him, so that's different,
I don't know. It just, every time I hear that story, it makes me want to laugh.
But then he got sent to New York, right? And he did
okay in New York.
He did okay, right? And again, Sprewell was one of those players on Arkansas's team that was, one of the top players in that time.
I didn't know he went to Arkansas.
Yeah, he played with Corliss Williamson and all those guys.
Okay, man, you got a good memory, Chief. That's good stuff. Switching to the pigskin. What's your thoughts of Tennessee? So, man, they suspend their starting right tackle. I think his name is something Farid.
Pettit Farid, yeah.
Yeah, and he's gambling at the facility, but not on football. Do you think the players really understand that aspect of the rule? Even though the no gambling stuff is written, but it's not even betting on football. Probably bet on the tournament or something. NBA playoffs.
Yeah, let me start by this. Remember I used to work for the university, and then I worked as a manager for the women's soccer team. You remember that?
Yeah.
So we were told then, and this was like back in the day, about the NCAA regulations and all that, like, what you get, what would happen, your consequences, right? Mm-hmm. But like, man, working on, in the athletics department, you hear a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like you hear a lot of stuff, like who's playing, who's not playing, like who's hurt, who's not hurt.
Yeah.
And, it was, even as a young guy, I was like, man, you can make some money, knowing all this information, you know it before the people know it, right? So, like, It's almost like insider trade information. So, but again, you want me to lose my job because I made a simple bet, If I'm going to lose my job, I better make $100,000, you know what I'm saying? Like something like that, right?
That is true. So do you think that's justified in Farid's place? 6 games, even if it's non-football.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be 6 games. I think the
union think he'll. And the same thing happened with Jameis Williams too, the Detroit Lion player.
Right. Like I think that they might go to union on this one. They might fight it. I don't know if it's I don't know. I wouldn't, to be honest with you. If it shouldn't be 3 games. If he's not betting on football, then he's not betting on football. Right.
Right.
So, you can't push FanDuel, DraftKings, all these things on the jersey and be like, why shouldn't I use it? But you can't be silly and be like, let me drop $2,000 on this game tonight because I know I'm gonna make some point. Like, You know, and so and the rule of thumb is like, listen, the guys know the rules, the guys know the consequences, the guys have choices, and some guys make bad choices.
Yeah.
Right. So, but again, the union should come in and be like, listen, don't make the access. Why is it accessible to them like that in that sense, right?
Well, they got it on their phone, you know.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. The only way I knew that the league, the teams found out about this is the league probably gives these major books, MGM Bet, DraftKings. You just mentioned FanDuel. That's a huge one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think they have some kind of database. So they're giving all the new players. And, like, if this player signs in, we're going to know about it, you know, and we're going to know exactly where, because you know how it says the location on your phone.
Right.
It's legal here in Tennessee to gamble, sports gamble. I do it all the time. But it may not be legal. I don't even know if it's legal in New Jersey per se.
Yeah, it's legal now. Well, there's only certain things that you can bet on in sports books.
Okay. So
Jersey.
The point is they have some kind of so they're essentially going to know. They're going to know that you made that bet. And I'll say this, if anybody gets in trouble now, you're a moron, because you know how much money six NFL
I'm not going to say it,
Robert.
I ain't going to say what you said, but again, you know the consequences. You know what you're doing and what you're not doing. So
appreciate it. Media Hub.
USA Media.
Yeah. So I think it's ridiculous. You're right. I actually do agree with it. I think they should take that to the union. They should fight that particular thing, because there's no real proof that there's air quote insider traded. Now, this other guy for the Colts.
Yeah, the Colts situation is different.
Totally different. Isaiah Rodgers, he bet on a player to go over rushing yards, won $1,000. That's insider trading, because he knows he has access to the, like you said, the injury report and all that stuff. He's suspended. He also got cut too, by the way.
You sit next to the players, like you know what they eat, you know what they're drinking, you know if they've been out all night, right?
Right.
You know, so you're like, oh, this guy, man, he ain't gonna play.
Yeah, if he's sick, I'm gonna pick the under. You know.
Yeah.
he's still hungover.
Yeah. So like, listen, you get what you get. You can't get upset because that's what you're putting in, right?
Yeah.
And one thing that bothers me is like these guys ain't billionaires, but they millionaires, right?
Yeah.
And it's like
some of them are.
Yeah, and it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, you know, they gotta be something somewhere to help these guys. These rookie symposiums, these things, they need a little bit more, and they need it earlier too. They need it like in college. You know, I know the Power 10 schools do it, but you know, Power 5s, whatever they call it, they Power 5 conference. They need to get these guys situated where they're not gonna play in the league at all, and they need to live their life like that. Like whatever money you're gonna get now. So, you know, but don't depend on being drafted in any league, even though they are. Yeah, because if you live like, man, look at, you know, San Antonio gonna draft me number one. Like, you know, that guy in France, he knew he was gonna get drafted, but he didn't care if he went number 1 or number 20. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, now they were telling them in the year he's going
that's a good point. There was a player a couple of years ago. He lost his earring on the field, and it was like a $50,000 earring while he was practicing.
Wasn't that Tyreek Hill?
Now, I don't know who it was, but it was a stud, and they lost it in training camp. They was practicing. I mean, why were you – but the guy's been doing that for years, though, you know?
All those gold
I think it's
trains.
crazy.
Look, I got nothing. You do what you do because you got the money now, but you know, like it
goes fast though, you know.
Just do, you know. I don't
know. Hey, do you have any thought? I didn't send you this, but it's all over the news. What are your thoughts about this huge round of layoffs for ESPN? Jeff
love
Van Gundy,
I love it.
Guy.
You know what happens when you're in a situation in the media where the shark had too much to eat and now he got a barf. And these guys, I feel bad for them because these are guys that are depending on contracts and depending on the money off the contracts. I feel bad for that situation. But when you dance with the fat lady, expect to get your toe stepped on, right?
You know, I was reading some stuff yesterday on yesterday's program, and you mentioned the fat lady and all that indulgence, man.
Mm-hmm.
You remember this time last year with the amount of money that's being paid, $300 million a year to cover all the SEC games, the football games. It used to, for example, CBS used to pay $55 million to cover those big 3:30 Eastern games, Alabama, LSU, for example. Now ESPN's paying $300 million. On top of that, they're paying Joe Buck and Troy Aikman $18 million and $15 million to call Monday Night Football. They took in McAfee at 17. Who's running the books up there, man? And this is embarrassing to lay off this many people because it's just a bad PR for your company.
I think the worst is the fact that they're not just laying off people; they're laying off prominent sportscasters.
Yeah,
and some of them were prominent athletes. Steve Young, you know, guys of that. Now I'm sure Steve Young aren't be hurting because he's a lawyer as well. But
Susan Colbert been there for 27 years since '93.
It's
man.
Just, you know,
almost 30 years.
Look, we're living right now in a time where loyalty to your company isn't what it used to be,
right?
Anyways,
right.
So, and as much as you're loyal to your company, is the company loyal to you? You can't expect that back and forth, man. Like, just get your money and run, right? That's what these ball players are doing. NFL, NBA, baseball players, I think they're getting their money and then, you know, like
I think it's just ESPN and I know it's through ABC and through Disney.
Right.
Somebody, either the president level or even above, whoever that clown president they got now, the other clown president, he stepped down. He has some kind of drug problem. But they're not putting their books together right. I mean, this is not a good look. If you say, okay, we're going to sign these big names this year, but next year we're going to lay off 25 employees, and it's going to be all over the press. That they laid off a bunch of people back in 2017. Guys like John Clayton.
Mm-hmm.
There was some writers here and there. Just a ton. It just looks bad, man. It looks like you're not keeping up with your books, your numbers at all. I mean, who's doing somebody needs, and it may be a group of people that probably not doing their job right.
Well, I don't know. Remember that guy? What's his name? The Cuban guy from Florida.
Sedano?
No.
Levitard?
Levitard.
He left on his own merit. But
he left because he knew, right? He said it.
Yeah.
He said that what's going on over here it's bananas, like, you know, and he left on his own accord before all of this stuff happened. So, again, you can only eat so much.
Yeah.
You're a big media company like Disney and you have that much money. You still need to keep some of it, right? You can't just give it all away. So
I think ESPN is a sinking ship. I know about the cord cutting, but I think it's more than the cord cutting. The lectures on the politics is way out of place.
Yeah, I would be careful about saying that it's a sinking ship. I would say more like it's stranded on the coast. It hasn't been able to go out yet. There's a lot of moving parts as we can see.
It needs to be repaired in the middle of the water.
Yeah,
like the Titanic.
As you can see, they're having the cutting of these ankles. But again, too, those are sportscasters. Those are people, and look who their following are. They're like guys like our age, right?
Yeah.
And sports has always moved forward. So, like you can't get a newer crowd and have the same old people.
Yeah.
Right.
Last year, what do you think about this? Last year, they paid Adam Schefter, the NFL newsbreaker, $9 million a year. That is sloppy. You could get Ian Rappaport for half of that, the NFL Network guy. they're paying Adrian Wojciechowski $7 million a year. You can get Sham Sharami from the Athletic for a quarter of that.
You can get Carlos Chavez for like 1.5 if you want.
Man, you get Robert Butler for 2.5, but sometimes I'll keep my phone on silent because I get irritated with it ringing so much. But no, it just goes to show you somebody is really effing up there, man. You know?
I don't think that they're messing up. I just think that at the end of the day, you want to get value for your money, man. And these guys have to bring in more younger people, and half of those guys who were getting let go probably aren't probably not doing that. And then the other half are just too expensive to keep.
Yeah.
So they got to do what every NBA, NFL, and baseball team does, and they got to like get young, and they got to make moves.
But they still kept Stephen A. And they still kept Mel Kiper.
Again, but Stephen A.
Those are older guys,
Stephen A's younger than Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless is in the 70s,
right? So and Stevie A. He's been doing well for himself media wise. Yeah. Like as far
I think those guys, they have their own. Here's my theory with Stephen A. Have you been listening to this podcast lately? This guy's talking about everything.
I hear him, and I don't even have the podcast on. He's so loud.
Right. Same here.
You know what I'm saying? Funny. So, no, yeah, he talks about everything now, which is smart because he didn't pigeonhole himself.
Yeah, I think he's trying to branch out and be in. I think he knows his time's coming, and he's probably going to have to go independent and be like a Rogan or somebody else, Yeah, but he wants to get more than Pat McAfee, which is making 17.
Pat McAfee and Rogan are two different. For instance, we know for a fact that Rogan wasn't a commentator as far as like being on sports media. He was
no.
He was UFC commentator.
He's all-encompassing guy, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And then
like pop culture, everything.
Yeah. So when he went on his own and did what he did, I think it was a big deal because again, he was like saying, "I want to be able to say whatever the hell I want," And Spotify was like, "You got followers. Here you go."
And that's my thing, and that's the goal for Sports Scope is just
to be on Spotify.
It is on Spotify already. Yeah. But remember that conversation? And I mentioned this to the audience last night that the conversation we had in this coffee and this Panera Bread last June after we went to that. You were saying, "Listen, you got your own platform," and I was thinking, now I kind of want to go to one of these small radio stations. But those small radio stations are very micromanaging, and they want me to talk about a bunch of 50-cent nonsense, nothing against hockey, but I don't want to talk about your local high schools or your hockey. I want to do some of the big things, and I'm willing to not. I'm making some tremendous sacrifice not to do that. And it's starting to, you said you got your own platform, and I'm starting to think that was probably, we're pushing up on a year. That was a year ago. That looks like the way to go. Now it's hard. Yeah. Because I don't have an air quote name behind me, but I sleep good at night because I say what I really want to say and talk about what I really want to talk about instead of a bunch of nonsense that the company wants me to talk about. It's a heck of a sacrifice, but hey, freedom, man, it don't come cheap.
No, it's not cheap. It's time consuming. It's costly.
Time is money.
Yes, and again, like if you're not able to give your own opinion, then what's the point of being someone who's opinionated?
Amen. Amen to that. Do you have anything that need to plug? Happy what are y'all doing tonight? You're not going downtown, are you?
No, man. I stay away from the track, the high track.
None of the locals fool with that crap, do they?
No, I mean some of them do. If you live close, if you're in the Queens and you live near the Hudson, you do all that. But I don't live close enough. I'm going to the Bronx. I celebrate the Bronx off near Throgs Neck. They have a couple neighborhoods there that just go all out with the fireworks. And my sister-in-law lives up there, so we go hang out there almost every 4th of July. Thanks to Alex and Jessica and the Morales family. Appreciate them for always hosting us there. They got a pool. I don't know if we'll be able to swim in this rain, but
is it raining up there?
Yeah, man, we get humidity, rain. We had it all in the last 24 hours, bro. So it's been crazy here in New York. Like it's been hot. It's been hot and humid. It's been hot, humid, and rainy. It's been rainy, we've had thunderstorms. We just had it all, and I feel bad because my brother's visiting from South Carolina, and he came up here to do a few things, and he brought I guess he brought some of that southern weather with him. So
wow.
Yeah, but everybody have a safe Fourth. What you doing, Robert?
I don't know yet. I'll be on call for a little while. There's no telling what the work's going to do. Probably going to sit around and play this Sega and stay cool. I'm not going to no barbecues or anything, although, my mom and my sister may invite me. But, they live – my sister lives 45 minutes away. She lives in Portland, Tennessee. And I'm like,
Portland. Oh, my goodness.
That's Clarksville, right? You went to Austin Peay. I'm not driving that crap. I mean, I'm just saying I love the family, but come on, man.
Hey, like I said, family's your business. We don't get into all that.
A friend of mine, a guy I grew up with, may come over. We play. Remember that game, Streets of Rage on Sega?
Yeah.
We love that, dude. When he's off work this afternoon, we'll probably do it.
I like it better than Street Fighter.
I do too. And you got 2 players on there. You can go through it. It's like Bad Dudes or the Turtles game.
Like Double Dragon.
Yeah. Man, you got a good memory. But some guy, he sent, let me see what you put there. Maybe high turnover rate, viewing audiences is never younger, comes fresh in faces. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I've been saying,
and I guess you talk about ESPN. I think it's just numbers and ESPN. I'm not sure if they have a plan or know what it seems like they're making it up as they're going along up there.
No, everybody got a plan, whether it works or not.
Until you get punched in the face. Mike Tyson. Yeah. So hopefully you can make it back Friday.
Yeah, me too, man.
If not, and there's a story I've been wanting to talk to you about is the NCAA, the new schedules for 24 with the SEC. There's some crazy stuff going on. Florida, for example, has got the hardest schedule in the history of college football schedules next year. And I was wanting to talk to you about that if you could make it. Yeah. I know you got a lot of family stuff. It's summertime, like the Will Smith song says. I got summertime ringing in my ear. That was Chris Rock. He's like, and you know what? I actually may renew my Netflix today. I've had it cut off for a while, and I want to watch that Chris Rock special. They said, ask me, did it hurt? It still hurts. I got summertime ringing in my ear right now.
You hear it?
Yeah, you hear it. That's good. Hey, man, if that's it, you have a good holiday, brother.
Happy 4th to everybody. Be safe. If you're tipsy, get an Uber or have somebody drive you home, all right?
Have your pet spayed or neutered by Barker over here. I got my new outro. I don't know if you've seen it, man. Have a good one, brother.